You know, they say that people's best friend are dogs. Well, I actually think people's best friend are math and math thinking. Let's see where they both come together. Here is a table that shows Rusty's care. Rusty is a dog that's a neighborhood dog of mine. And you can see there's food, water, and bath. And this is information, how many cups of food per day Rusty needs and how many cups of water per day Rusty needs. And actually, here's a fun question to think about. How many more cups of water than food will Rusty get in 1 week? Now, each of these represents a per day thing. Now, we know there are 7 days in a week. And so what does that mean? It means that it's not just a matter for looking at how much water that Rusty has in a week to look at 4, but we have 4 per day and we have 7 days. So we have 7 times this, which in fact is going to be a multiplication. And I'm going to write that multiplication, in fact, as 4 times 7. Because for every one of the 7 days, we're going to require 4 cups of water. So let's talk about water first. And for water, for a week, we see it's going to be 4 times 7. Because we have 4 cups, and we have each 1 cup for every one of the 7 days. Well, here's one way of actually modeling that, if you want to think about it. First, let's start off with something that we know. So let's just start off with something that we know. And what we know is 2 times 7. And we can actually model that really easily with just 2 rows of 7 each. That's pretty straightforward. And we can just count, and we can see exactly what we have, or you just might know what 2 times 7 is, and we see the answer is, in fact, 14. And now what we do is we're going to just add on another row of 7. And in doing so, what we're going to do is we're going to add another group of 7, and that's going to give us 3 times 7, because that's going to be equal to 2 times 7 plus a new row of 7, right? If you have 2 7s and you add 1 7, you now have 3 times 7. And so that would be the equivalent of bringing on extra row. And now we can figure out exactly how many we would have. What we see now is, before we saw, I should keep a little chart here of what we have. Before we saw this was 14, all of this together. And now we see all of this together is going to bring us to 21. In fact, I should write that on the outside, but I'll keep it on the inside. And now we want to have 4 times 7, so I see that 4 times 7, that's going to be, if we add on another group of 7, we're going to see 3 times 7 plus another 7. If we have 3 7s and add a 7, we have 4 times 7. And so now we see this again. I bring on another group of 7. And if I add that in, what we see now is the total number will be 21 plus 7, which is 28. And so I see 28 in all. And so what we discover is that 4 times 7 is equal to 28. And you see how we got there? We did something that we knew. 2 times 7, that was kind of easy, 14. And then we added another 7, that's 3 times 7. And then we added another group of 7, that's 4 times 7, and we got 28. Great, that's for water. Now, what about for food? Well, let me just take our answer here. So here's the answer. That's 28. I'm just going to move it way down here so we can look at it and enjoy it. And now let's think about food. I always love thinking about food, don't you? So I'm thinking about food to get rid of all that. And now let's think food. So if we think food, we're going to do a kind of a corresponding thing. We see that there are 3 cups of food required for each one of the 7 days. So that's 3 times 7. So we're going to look now at 3 times 7. And again, where should we start? Let's start with something that's easy. Let's start with just 2 times 7. So 2 times 7, that we know equals 14. And we can model that if we want with just 14, 2 groups of 7. And then if we want to now throw in another group, so add another group of 7, that's going to be 3 times 7. That's going to equal 2 times 7 plus another group of 7. If we have 2 7s and we add another 7, that's going to be 3 times 7. And so we can actually bring in another group of 7. And we can look at that and count if we want and see that, in fact, now the total is 21. And so we make the discovery that for food, we see that we have 3 times 7, and that equals 21. So we got 21. Great. Okay, but what were we supposed to do? We want to find out how many more cups, and these, by the way, are used. So 28 cups, and this is 21 cups. I should probably write that in. Shouldn't that be nice? So write that in. Cups. I'm writing sideways. Isn't that fun? I don't know if you're allowed to write sideways, but don't tell anyone. I like it. I think it's kind of cool looking. All right, so we have 28 cups of food, and we have 21 cups of water for the week for Rusty. But the question is, how many more cups of water than food will Rusty get in 1 week? So what that means, we actually have to subtract. We actually have to take a look at 28 minus 21. And we can actually visualize that if we want by taking the 21 that we got and looking at this and saying, now wait a minute. If I'm going to take all of these and remove all of these, what that means is I'm going to remove all of these from this. And if I take all those away, what do I see? I see just this, 1 row of 7. And so I see the answer must be, in fact, 7. And so 28 minus 21, we can see visually, equals 7. So 7 cups. That is the answer, meaning that's how many more cups of water than food Rusty will get in 1 week. It's great to see multiplication come alive and see it be so nutritious. Not just nutritious for dogs, but nutritious for our minds. And in fact, math is very much like nutrition for the mind. Now, I've got to tell you, even though these look like dog food, it really isn't, because you're not supposed to eat dog food. This, in fact, is people food. In fact, this is actually math food, and let's just see how delicious math is. Mmm. Math tastes like peanut butter. How strange. Have fun thinking about math. I'll see you soon.
Okay, so let's practice now multiplying with 7. We're using the same strategies we have used in the other lessons, but today we're looking and focusing on a different factor, and that's multiplying by 7. Okay, so here's our first problem, and it's going to be a word problem we're going to work through, and I want you to pay close attention to this example. Jason's family has a new puppy. Jason takes a turn walking the puppy once a day. How many times will Jason walk the puppy in 4 weeks? So, we're looking at the important numbers in this problem. And I had the number 4 for 4 weeks. And we know he takes a turn walking 1 time a day. Once a day for a week is 7 times. So there's 7 days in a week. So I have my 7 days times 4 weeks. So we want to find what is 7 times 4. Now, if you know the 7 times 4 fact, you can find that, okay, for like skip counting, okay? So if I want to skip count, I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, because I'm doing 7 4 times. So 7, 14, 21, 28. That's if I know my facts really, really fast, and I don't always know my facts. But this is a way of skip counting that I can multiply 7 times 4 fast using my facts. But if I'm not sure, I can distribute it. I can also draw equal groups. I'm going to show an example here with you of using equal groups. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right, so let's do my equal groups where I have 7 groups. And in those 7 groups, I'm going to put 4 stars. I have 4 in each group. Okay, so this is another way that I can solve 7 times 4. I have 7 groups, 7 circles, and I have 4 stars in each group. I want to find out how many I have all together. So to do that, I can count my stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So that tells me that 7 times 4 equals 28. This is how I solve using equal groups. Now, another way I can solve is using the distributive property, and that's what we were using in our last lesson where we were breaking our numbers apart a little bit more, okay? So to use the distributive property, first thing I'm going to start by doing is I'm going to be drawing my picture and my array of 7 rows and 4 in each row. 7 rows, so 1, oops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are my 7 rows, and I'm going to have a total of 4 stars in each row. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to try to keep my rows as straight as possible. It's not always easy. Okay, so there is my array of 7 rows and 4 in each row. I'm going to take and I'm going to break this up into 2 equal groups. And I'm just going to draw a line. Let's do it right here. So here is my top array. I'm going to count my rows. 1, 2, 3, 4 rows times 1, 2, 3, 4 in each column. And I have 4 times 4. Let's count the stars and see how many I have all together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So altogether, I have a total of 16. So 4 times 4 equals 16. I'm not done though, because now I need to write a multiplication equation for the array that's on the bottom. Okay, 3 rows times 4 in each row. I'm going to count up all the stars, and I'm going to get 12. So here I have 16 plus 12. 6 plus 2 is 8. 2 plus 2 is 1. So I still got the answer of 28 by simply distributing, okay, and breaking the numbers apart. When you're multiplying on the next few problems, I just want you to solve whichever strategy works best for you. So again, if you like to do the equal groups, do the equal groups. If you want to skip count, skip count. Draw those pictures, okay? Please let your teachers know if you need help. When we're multiplying by 7, we're just reviewing different strategies that we've learned.